Hello once again and welcome to yet another edition of APTERA. Oh, APTERA. No, another edition of the Aussie Ideas Man. And yes, it is on APTERA. This time APTERA has made a November update that is 9 minutes long instead of the usual less than 2 that they do for their updates, which is almost always saying next to nothing other than we need more money. Well, I've decided I'll do a really quick one. I'll put a lot of my warts and all speaking into this one. I will edit a few pregnant pauses as I stare at the screen and wonder what next to say, but in the main, this is going to be pretty raw. And I do it because I want to be pretty fast. I'm actually using a video that came out 1 hour after the official APTERA update by APTERA Motors. I don't know whether you can read it, whether I'll leave it in the viewing picture, but as I look at this recording of it, it's by News-Wisdom Theatre 3000. And all they did was 1 hour after seeing the November update, the official one, they have just re-uploaded it. No change at all, no comments, nothing. I do believe that this is theft. What I do is make comments about what has been said in the update and so add value to having a new video. You'll have to excuse the sound because it's a beautiful first day of summer here in Australia, and some guy, a neighbour, has decided to get some woodworking tools out, and the plane is extremely loud. It goes on and off. I hope it doesn't keep going. I'm hoping he stopped by now. There's also the aeroplanes flying overhead, but that happens every day, so I can't change that. So anyway, this thing's completely unscripted. In fact, it's unrehearsed. It's just to be as fast as possible. Listen to what he says, stop him and see if I can just add some value to his comments, add some balance. Okay? Just that, I guess, thinking on the other side of the coin, you might say, that he never presents. So I'll get into it.
Hey APTERA fans, it's Chris. The team here in San Diego and our team in Italy have made lots of progress in the last month, and we want to show you some of the progress today. Last month, we shared that over 60% of our body structures for APTERA have been produced and validated. This month, we're excited to tell you that our biggest and longest lead body part, the tub, has been completed at the CPC factory. They used their huge 5,000-ton press. It's a key structural part which the rest of the vehicle is built from. This is one of the largest carbon fiber SMC parts ever, and it's a huge accomplishment by the CPC group. The die to produce this consists of over 100 metric tons of hardened steel. And Steve is in Italy right now checking up on CPC's progress. What's the latest, Steve?
Good morning, everybody. From Modena, I'm here with Thomas Vecchi. He's the general manager of CPC, and we're sitting in the first pressing of the tub of the new APTERA with most of the structural pieces in place. Now, there's something special about this tub, Thomas. Tell us about it.
First of all, I'll give the observation that this is the only view you see of them sitting in this mocked up body of APTERA. And that's because they've had to prop it up in various ways to make them appear like they're in a fully put together body shell. I believe there's still some other parts that are yet to be finished.
Well, what is special? It's entirely in carbon fiber.
This is all stuff that they have said about the body and it doesn't need repeating, so I will skip over, delete much of this.
By the way, this is the biggest part CPC has ever done.
Oh, we do have another view of the mock-up. It's sitting on a rolling trolley, and we can see that it doesn't go far at the rear. There are some very large pieces missing.
But this vehicle will be made of 8 to 9 components bonded together. But the tub is a typical example. You have literally a good 20% of the vehicle done in one part. It normally would have been done of 200 parts welded together in steel, aluminium.
People soon forget that this is not a car, and yet this guy is making comparisons with the average car. This is probably about 1/3 of a car, and so it can't be compared to a car. I could say, well, it's about the size of a tinny. For those in America or anywhere around the world who doesn't know what a tinny is, it's just a little aluminium boat that you throw a small outboard motor on and go fishing in. it's more comparable to that. And a tinny can be made of one part, just mould the whole thing.
And after that, we will be doing the controlled assembly of this vehicle, so the bonding. And it's not assembled mechanically, it's assembled by bonding, like Formula One vehicles. That is a lot safer due to the fact that you have more surface to connect two components compared to just a welding that is on the perimeter.
Well, off the top of my head, I can think of a couple of things. Like you can make a tinny in one mould because you're not making a car. This 6 or so moulds isn't impressive for what is essentially something between a tinny and a car, and probably a third of a car. What also comes to mind is that there are caravans. Now, in America, I think you call them trailers, but these caravans are made with 5 parts that they bond together. That is 4 walls and a roof. And they are, in essence, probably sometimes up to 10 times bigger than this silly trike. Well, I better catch up to where I am. What's he talking about now? Oh, there. Yeah, that's right. There's one pregnant pause I had to take out. I didn't want to backtrack on listening to him, so I just had a big long think. He's up to saying that bonding is superior to spot welding because it uses the whole surface areas of the places that meet to bond. And I don't believe that that's true. Bonding is using glues, and glues have questionable lifespans. Glues over varying temperatures in day-to-day life are prone to losing their hold not too long down the track. It might be a couple of years, but this thing's supposed to be made to last so that Chris's grandchildren can drive it. And I don't know of any glue that lasts that long, not on a moving vehicle that has so much shaking as well as temperature variations throughout its life. So I would question whether gluing a larger surface area is stronger than welding the perimeter of steel. In fact, you can spot weld and not even do the whole perimeter of steel. And I would say that spot welds would last longer. And I mean spot welding steel, not spot welding carbon fibre. So while he's selling the snake oil, if you think long and hard about it, how long do glues last? Is the surface area, even though it's larger than a spot weld, stronger? I don't think so.
Of two components.
I mean, and this is something that you guys are doing already with all the different vehicles that you build. And so across all kinds of different lines, you guys are using a very similar process. And this is just the result of all those years. You've culminating into one vehicle. So just for the viewers, I want to show them, we're sitting way far up so we can see the camera. But if I sit back where the seat is, it's actually, I mean, it's very big inside. I did not realize we have all this room. So it's going to be really exciting to see it. Thomas, thank you very much for you and your team for making this happen. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve. The team is gearing up to assemble the entire body in carbon, or BINC as we like to call it, with the goal of having the first of many production intent vehicles completed over the next few months. Here in San Diego, our solar team has been building production intent solar panels. A not so well-kept.
Is that all they have been doing? If they're getting ready to make one of these, and they're going to be shipped over fairly soon, it seems, if they're getting ready to make one of these, they need to do far more than make solar panels. There is every other component that needs to be stockpiled at the Carlsbad plant. And I mean every other component. It may be only 6 or 7 major parts that make the body, but there are still hundreds of other parts that make the silly trike. Where are they? So keep that in mind when he talks about progress. You'll find the progress is limited to the nose cone of the solar panels.
Secret is the new material our production intent solar panels are made with. It's glass. To showcase the lamination method, we've made a solar hood for our Gamma vehicle. This panel is producing 75 watts of power as we speak. And the proprietary glass it's made with has extreme scratch protection, an incredible finish, and exceptional impact resistance. The best part, the solar panels are a whopping 40% lighter than before. In other exciting news, we now have less than 500 priority delivery slots left in our.
Okay, This one really needs thinking about, because I was always of the understanding, and I'm no expert, people can delve into the scientific truths about these things, but I was always of the understanding that perspex was lighter than glass, far lighter than glass, and that perspex was more durable than glass in that it is flexible, and on a moving vehicle that has to contend with bumps and grinds of motion, that perspex would be the safer material to use. It can flex a bit, glass will shatter. So I don't understand how he can make a glass panel that is 40% lighter than the equivalent thickness perspex panel. It may be that he has to make it 60% thinner or something like that. And if you have thin glass, then it's like a toffee apple. It won't take that hail test that they were doing with their perspex panels.
Accelerator Program. This limited time opportunity allows APTERA fans to become co-owners of APTERA, accelerate our solar future, and secure one of the first 2,000 APTERA vehicle delivery slots. If having one of the first...
I'll make a mention of something here that came up in a prior video of mine. They can't ethically end the accelerator program until it gets to the 2,000th person. If they end it before that, then they are thwarting the plans of many people who want to vie for certain numbers. Once again, they'll put their interests ahead of the public's interest. They kicked the original fanboys in the teeth when they introduced the accelerator program long after they had that paradigm order of merit, and they will kick people in the teeth again unless they hold to getting the whole 2,000 slots filled.
Solar electric vehicles in the world sounds cool to you, check out aptera.us/accelerate for more information on becoming an accelerator. We're looking forward to closing out this program in the coming months and showing more progress towards production thanks to your investment. The team in San Diego and Italy.
Looking forward to closing out the accelerator program in the coming months is unrealistic, totally unrealistic. They are getting something like 3 a week. The neighbour's not using a plane anymore, he's using a saw. I don't know whether you can hear that, but I'll continue on. At the rate of about 3 a week, and they've averaged that for many months now, at that rate, with nearly 500 left, it won't be closing up very shortly. In fact, it won't close in their other extended date, which I've seen because I've seen the end of this silly video. It's got no chance of closing out in time.
Are excited to get solar mobility to the world as quickly as possible. To highlight even more of the latest details, we're hosting an investor webinar on December 13th. If you aren't already, become a co-owner of APTERA between now and then to receive a private link to this event. We've also been having fun releasing video renderings to showcase different APTERA features.
There's the plane again. I don't know what the guy's making, but he's very busy, and I can't wait. I want to get this out fairly quickly. So anyway, what we've got so far is the progress is they finished one more body part in Modena, Italy, and they've made a glass front panel. Now, I have read the comments in the first 2 hours, and one interesting one was somebody worked out that by the amount of wattage they get from the nose cone, if you extrapolate that to the whole full solar vehicle, then there would be about 530 watts, not 700, in the wattage received per cell, multiplied out by the total number of cells. Now, that's not going to get you your 40 miles of range in the best conditions. It's going to get way less. And then somebody else pointed out that that 530 watts is all angled at incorrect angles, so that it's not going to actually achieve that no matter which way the silly trike is facing. Another person has said that a total of 530 watts is unachievable because of the angles on the body of the silly trike. And so that then will reduce your mileage drastically, proposed mileage, everything is proposed. And of course, that's presuming that the watts that they gave per cell is correct in the first place. We don't know. everything that they tell us is never substantiated. It's never been put through any testing and proof. The snake oil salesman has said it gets this many watts per cell.
Let us know in the comments below what you'd like to know about our production intent vehicle designs. We'll do our best to share new APTERA features as we await the first completed production intent vehicles in real life. For all of you following closely along our path towards solar mobility, I would like to address our timeline.
Yeah, he's done this like, I don't know, 7 times already, something like that, and has been completely off it. Let's see whether we can get some proper predictions.
Our high volume production plan is contingent upon receiving an extra boost of capital.
Not long ago, the cretin from AOC said that they had raised $100 million about. Shortly after that, somebody else actually said they'd raised over $200 million. If they have raised over $200 million, why are they continually saying they need to progress by getting more? It's the money they want, it's the progress they don't want. But anyhow, another thought comes to mind. The cretin from APTERA Owners Club was saying that their production will go ahead using other means if they can't get this extra money. So why is he now saying it's contingent on getting extra money? That's an anomaly. Either they can do it using other means and no need to slow down, or they can't do it and they need extra money. My problem with APTERA since I saw them over 2 years ago is that there are always two conflicting stories and they don't add up. This is just one more.
Making it difficult for us to share clear estimates of timing. However, things are moving steadily along.
If it was difficult to give clear estimates, why have they done about 7 so far that are usually within 1 or 2 months of what they say? And why have they been years after that 1 or 2 months? People in business usually use things like Gantt charts and other predictive charts to make fairly accurate predictions of when they can do something. And these people are just lame. They are not within a bull's roar of whatever things they're using to make their predictions. And now he's saying not giving clear estimates.
Several term sheets signed with excited potential investors to get us to the funding we need for high volume production.
There we go now. They've just got to get those investors before they can get into high volume production. They only need to make a dozen or so to get through all the testing. So not having any new investors, and these are all just imaginary potential investors that they're talking about, they're always imaginary, but they don't need anybody. They just need to pump 12 or so of these body-in carbon shells, send them to Carlsbad, and then have the rest of the parts to put a dozen together and have them all tested and validated. Then they can have their high volume production.
We hope this lengthy process comes to fruition early next year, keeping us on track to deliver our
Early next year? What was he saying in June, end of June at the Tesla takeover? He was saying that these PIs would be in a couple of months. A couple of months. That's already 5 months ago. And now this timeline is early next year. What does early next year mean? How is early next year? Is it March and April? May? Still early in the year.
first units before the end of 2024. And over the next few months, we have all hands on deck working to complete the first production intent builds. Know
He might have all hands on deck, what hands he hasn't sacked, but he doesn't have the parts. He doesn't have anything other than 80% of the parts. I'm sorry, 80% of the shell. He doesn't have any more than that, as far as we can tell. If this is an update, why doesn't he show us all the progress that has been made with respect to stockpiling the parts? Not only that, what about the plant itself? Has he shown us the plant, those 12 or 13 stations that they made a render of? Are they there at Carlsbad? It just boggles my mind to read comments to say, wow, that was a great update. This is fantastic. You're really moving forward. When there's so much missing. So much missing. The plant hasn't been built. The batteries for one of them hasn't even been invented, but he doesn't have a supplier for the batteries, which he said he would get maybe February or March next year, at the same time as promising he'd have a PI built, which is contradictory in itself. Nevertheless, there is nothing. Both the plant and the parts, the hundreds of parts that are needed, okay? And I mean hundreds of different parts. They only need a dozen or so of each just to build their test mules. These things don't exist. They don't exist. And he's not showing any progress towards it whatsoever. So all I can say is the people that have written in and said great progress, they can't see past their noses. They can't tell when they're getting snake oil by the bottleful and they're swallowing it in the most gullible fashion.
That with each passing day, your support and enthusiasm powers our progress.
Support and enthusiasm from people does absolutely nothing towards the progress of making that silly trike. It does nothing. It's snake oil. No amount of support and enthusiasm is going to make the skin cooling work. They know it doesn't work. They're doing all of this so-called progress, which is only in the area of CPC and not any other area. They know that this progress is going to rake in a bit more money and buy them time to make money disappear.
We're grateful to be in a position that we are today, and we can't wait to show the world what can happen when a passionate community believes in doing the impossible. Thanks so much for your support. Until next time.
Oh, he actually put in a real clue there. The community is believing in doing the impossible. I reckon Chris and Steve knew it was impossible from day one. And I mean day one, 2005. They knew it was impossible, but they made a mozza out of a failed business with APTERA version 1, and it was just money for jam. They could do it again. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm no expert in Ponzi schemes, so take this as my opinion and nothing else. But it does give some balance to what could be the biggest second successful Ponzi scheme ever devised. Well, that's all from me. I told you it was unscripted. Once again, too early in the morning. I haven't been able to eloquently say what could be said to balance out this ridiculous amount of false advertising and false hope that is being given. That's all from me. Bye for now. Stay safe.